Hey YouTube, well I just wanted to do a new video, and this one's just about my experiences living in country life versus living in city life. Um, I'm a little bit biased, I will admit, right from the start I'm going to admit that I have bias, simply because I never liked the city, I always hated it. Um, I was never happy there, and yeah, but there are that's my personal feelings towards living in cities, big cities. But in saying that, let's go through what I've experienced, and I mean you can compare it with what you've experienced and what you personally think. Now, a lot of people will say that that they from the cities. A lot of people will come down to the country and say how nice it is, and that they would think about moving down here, but it's more of a novelty to them. They like the peace and quiet. Like right now, as noisy as you hear it, that's as noisy as it gets most of the time. Most of the time, it's nice. So, yeah. So that can be a bit that can be a bit of a thing where people will turn around and say, "Oh, look, it's really nice down here," and yeah, I can see why you like it and that, but they're not prepared to leave all their what do you call it? All their uh, food eateries and all the little quaint little things that they think is very important to them. But that's yeah. Anyway, they were never my things. I guess that's why they were never important to me. But okay, so what I found in the city is, generally speaking, is number one, people cannot drive up in the city. Like, they all go do the same driving test, and they all have to sit and do the same experience, the same thing. But then, when it actually comes to driving, they just do their own thing, and they're very bad at it, especially merging. Apparently, Australians are very bad at merging when they're in the city. They don't seem to understand that the car in front is the car that has right of way, no matter what. Even if it's 2 mils in front, it doesn't matter. And you can't just randomly speed up to be the car in front, because that's dangerous and stupid. But far be it from me to tell you experts on how to drive, right? Anyway, I found that people in the city only care about money and status, and that, you know, being, generally speaking, being an a-hole to someone is considered the norm and okay, and it's acceptable, rather than just being, hey, that person is kind of an a-hole, and that's not cool to do that to people, like, or be like that. At least that's my personal thoughts about that, but that's normal and acceptable in the city. Things in the city cost way more in, like, housing, not in food. Food is more expensive in the country, but things like a house is like twice the price than, like, for the same house in the country. Go figure. But that's what it is what it is. Yeah, and like I said, money and status, that seems to be the most important thing, and it's very rush, very, it's basically, like, I know that's like cliche, but it really is, like, they have to have everything now, can't wait. No, it has to be instantaneous gratification kind of thing. And they're never really satisfied in the city. Like, nothing they do, they never seem to be actually content and happy with life. They always find something to be miserable about. So, yeah, so that's, I guess I'm comparing this with Perth. Okay, I'm comparing this with Perth City, which might be different to other cities, but in my experiences, especially in life, a lot of things remain the same. Okay, like, go to a job, you have the same issues. Go to, like, they're always like same but different. But in this case, yeah. Now, I find in the country, people genuinely care about other people more. Maybe not go out of their way to let you know that they care, but they're interested in what happens with your life. And they care about that. If people in the country help each other way more. For example, I've been helping my friend this weekend put up fencing because he needed to do fencing to move some cows into a different paddock. So that's what we were doing. We were doing fencing to get that done, so he could do that. So people in the country do things like that. Jobs are not as easy to come by, I find, in the country. Some jobs are like word of mouth. Some jobs are, I suppose that would be a gripe, I guess you could say, is that it would be better if there was more availability for jobs. Like, for example, they say about farmers needing fruit pickers, but you never see that actually being advertised anywhere. You would actually have to drive to a farm and ask them if they need work done. Like, you can't just go, or know some farmers or something like that. Like, you can't just go, oh, where do I apply to be a fruit picker? It's not that simple. Like, not really. That's an example, because that's a lot of the kind of work, dairy and fruit and veg and, things like that. I find that, one thing I've noticed in the city, fires are sort of brushed off, like big bushfires are brushed off. Like, people don't seem to take really much thought into, oh, this is actually bad. Whereas in the country, people are a bit more, oh, the fire was really bad. So, yeah, that's an interesting difference. I do find that people in the country, particularly four-wheel drives in 110 zones, 110 kilometres an hour, which is 65 miles an hour if you've got an older car, they always do 100. They don't seem to think that their tyres can handle and their car can handle doing 110, which all new cars are very capable of, and most cars have been capable of since the 1960s, but apparently doing 110 is not allowed, according to them. Like, they deliberately go 100 k's an hour everywhere. It's really frustrating, actually. That's sort of a thing where you go, don't really understand that. Like, you've got the opportunity to cruise at 110. You can do that quite safely. There's plenty of room and manoeuvrability most of the time. The only time you would slow down is if the weather conditions didn't allow for it. But, yeah. You can see the stars. Can't see the stars in the city. But you can definitely see the stars out in the country. It looks beautiful. And I find people tend to leave you alone a lot in the country. Like, most of the time, really, you can just do your own thing. Nobody really bothers you. You're pretty much fine to do whatever you want, just about. Just about. But as long as you leave other people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think I've found dating down here any worse than up in Perth. It was about the same. I tend to find that that's more of a Australian women thing over me in general, or where I live. It's more or less the same, but which has always just been difficult. Australian women do not make life easy for actually dating, but sure, that's how it is. Life is what it is, and that's it. That could be a me thing, but that's what I've personally found. And it's not that you don't try for these things, but yeah, but it is what it is. And I sort of knew that when I was coming down this way anyway. I just accepted that and just, I'm happy to live my life by myself if that's where I end up. But it'd be nice to include someone else in my life, but I don't expect that. I don't think that'll happen, but whatever. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm still accomplishing many things that I want to accomplish and doing things in my life that I want to do. And I could never have done that in the city. I would never have had that opportunity. For the type of work that I do, and the amount of people that I was competing with up in the city, even though you're still competing with a lot of people down south, I feel like because that the country is growing, that there's more opportunity for people to succeed. and more opportunity for people to actually accomplish their goals that they've set for themselves or want to do. Like people that want to start businesses or, get a name for themselves in an industry or something like that. You've got more opportunity down in the country or up in the country, whichever country you want, than you ever would in the city. The city, for me, my personal experiences, is where dreams go to die. I personally don't believe that that anyone that ends up in the city really gets what they want and really sets out. It's just, I went down south and I um, I set out to basically, what would I say, prove that I'm capable and don't need anyone else to succeed, and that's pretty much what I've done. So the only thing I really have to do is setting new goals and things like that. And yeah, I know a lot of people wouldn't understand that, but yeah. Anyway, peace.